Volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. These are the terms that describe the modern economy. Regardless of what your corporate scorecard says, the ability for an organization to adapt to this market is the only measure of success that remains relevant. Today, we've entered the age of the agile organization. The world is changing more rapidly than ever before, and organizations of every size are struggling to remain relevant in the eyes of their customers. Just last month, Business Insider reported that Chapter 11 bankruptcies are up 63% in America from a year ago, the highest level since April 2011. It is only high-performing, adaptable, and agile organizations that will leverage, lead, and thrive in this ambiguous and unpredictable market. We call this business agility. The problem with a statement like that is that there is no common definition of what business agility means. And that's actually a good thing. In a dynamic and changing market, trying to lock it down will defeat the very advantage it brings. Instead, I want you to start thinking of business agility as the common thread, an adaptable and sustainable narrative that binds and guides rather than directs us into the uncertain future. So what is the difference between an agile organization and a non-agile organization? In a way, we can look to history to help give us an answer to that. Let me introduce you to, with apologies to Eli Goldratt, Evans' theory of agile constraints. An organization can only be as agile as its least agile division. Let's use software companies as an example. 30 years ago, what was the constraining factor to being agile? It was the act of creating a product. Software teams would take years to create a product and bring it to market. This is why it was logical for agile methods like Scrum and XP to emerge in that domain. Fast forward to 10 years ago, and many organizations had mastered Agile, but there was a new constraint. We still had to wait for a deployment window, so we invent DevOps. Which brings us to today. Now there are new constraints that require a systemic view of the organization. It differs across companies, but I have generally found that the PMO, legal, HR, or finance departments are the primary constraining factor to business agility in most organizations. It doesn't matter how agile you are or how quickly you deploy if it takes 3 months to recruit someone or 18 months before the next budget is approved. It is in this environment that we started the Business Agility Institute. The Business Agility Institute was created to help organizations not only survive but thrive in this uncertain market. As an independent community organization, the Institute is uniquely positioned to guide organizations around the world towards an agile mindset and culture, transform their ways of working, and promote new organization structures. The Institute is built on 4 pillars: community, guidance, outreach, and leadership. The first pillar is community. Our mission is to bring people together, to share knowledge, learn from each other, and be stronger together. Whether a community forms around an industry, a function, or a region, we provide them with the environment to collaborate. Our members, both individual and corporate, are leaders in business agility and those who are just starting the journey to become an agile organization. The second pillar is guidance. Through the Business Agility Library, we share case studies, videos, interviews, and reference material with detailed guidance written to support specific industries, functions, domains, and transformational journeys. The third pillar is outreach. Through our online symposia, global conferences, or domain-specific events, our goal is to bring together leaders and practitioners and learners into an advanced, information-rich environment. We want to take each participant from the art of the possible into deep dives that answer the question, what are you going to do on Monday morning? The fourth and final pillar is leadership. This is where the Institute flexes its muscles to protect and develop this burgeoning community. From awards to recognize leaders in the community, a peer-reviewed journal of business agility, services for boards of directors, business and industry councils to shape the global industry, and an annual report on business agility. We want to show businesses around the world what good looks like. So what does business agility look like? Business agility is a highly complex and emerging domain. Therefore, to understand it is to understand the domains of business agility. This is a simple model consisting of 9 interacting domains across 3 dimensions, centered around the customer. Not a pyramid or a matrix, but rather a model of agility, where each of the domains in each of the dimensions are equal, necessary, interrelated, and dependent upon each other. Business agility only emerges when your organization can be agile across all the domains, across all facets of your organization. For most companies, their customer is their purpose. However, in public sector or social good organizations, the definition of the customer is much broader. It could mean a paying client for a private organization, a citizen for a public sector company, or an abstraction like the environment or the community for a non-profit organization. In some contexts, your customer may even be a separate division within your organization. Regardless of how it is defined, your customer is at the heart of the model and shapes your organization. They are your purpose. Too many organizations have forgotten that we aren't in business to make money. We make a profit to continue to achieve our true purpose, to serve the customer. Think of your local doctor. Most people don't become doctors to make money. They become doctors to save lives. They make money in order to continue saving lives. Surrounding the customer are the 3 dimensions: work, connections, and mindset. The 3 dimensions under the work dimension govern how an agile organization operates. The first one is technical agility. These are the techniques for delivering work, regardless of function or subject matter, in an agile way. Many of the agile methods developed over the last 20 years, such as extreme programming, behavior-driven development, test-driven development, and DevOps, are almost entirely devoted to technical agility. And it's not just limited to software either. Any domain of work can be technically agile. For example, we're starting to see agility emerge in marketing and finance work with their own agile practices. For example, agile marketing or beyond budgeting. To be technically agile, any work practice or technique needs to be designed for ambiguity, to be customer-centric, seamlessly respond to change, and promote collaboration. The next domain is process agility. This is the form of agility that encompasses an individual value stream, the combination of discrete activities that are undertaken by a team and a project. This is the form of agility that most people think of when they hear the term agile. Methods such as Scrum, Kanban, Lean Six Sigma are all, in large part, operating at this level. One key element of process agility is the aligning of the governance of all decisions, processes, and work towards ensuring the continuous delivery of value and business outcomes. The third domain under work is enterprise agility. This is where we scale agility across divisions, departments, and the organization. We are only now starting to think about enterprise agility as a discrete domain. Over the last 20 years, as individual teams become agile, the constraining factor for agility to scale was the other teams within the division. Now, as entire divisions and departments scale to become agile, the constraining factor for agility is the rest of the organization. Enterprise agility emerges when there is an agile way of working across multiple teams and divisions. We now move to the connections dimension, which governs the relationships that form within and outside the organization. The first domain is structural agility, which defines the relationships between individuals, teams, and divisions to create an agile organization. The simple pyramid hierarchy no longer serves us. At the lowest level of your organization, you might call these teams squads or cells. A traditional agilist might call these cross-functional or multidisciplinary teams. Regardless of what they are called, agile teams have certain common characteristics. In general, they are small, cross-functional, and formed around business outcomes rather than traditional skill-based functions. The connection between teams is the fundamental expression of the organization's structure and a key indicator of business agility fluency. The second domain here is leadership agility, which defines the relationship between individuals and authority within an agile organization. Agile leaders require the ability to inspire purpose, set direction, align teams to business outcomes, remove impediments, and coach and mentor teams, while ensuring they have the 4 A's: alignment, autonomy, authority, and accountability. At the pioneering end of business agility, and in particular leadership agility, there is the concept of self-organization, teams or divisions with no managers, though this requires a significant level of fluency across all business agility domains. Market agility is the third and final domain, and this defines the relationship with our users and the wider marketplace, from your suppliers upstream to your distributors downstream. Organizations have always needed to earn the right to exist in the market. However, as both market predictability and the barrier to entry is decreasing, we are seeing that incumbents no longer enjoy the same commercial advantage as they used to. It is agile organizations, those that frequently inspect and adapt and pivot to meet opportunities that are more likely to flourish in this ambiguous and uncertain market. Speed and effectiveness of this adaptation to competitors, disruptors, and new customer demands are key measures of market agility, with frameworks like Lean Startup, Lean Enterprise, and Design Thinking operating in this domain. Finally, the mindset dimension is concerned with governing the key characteristics of an agile organization. The first domain is a learning mindset. Organizations that experiment, learn faster than others, are those that succeed. And agile organizations are fundamentally learning organizations at all levels, whether small and specific, for example, this feature didn't sell well, or large and systemic, we need to change our governance model based on this new information. Learning is more than just observing. It's taking the observations, determining its worth, and then internalizing and making it the new reality for the organization. Feedback loops such as inspect and adapt, and practices such as the retrospective or failure KPIs enable teams and divisions and organizations to improve both what they do and, more importantly, how they do it. Like the woodcupper who refuses to sharpen his axe because he has too many trees to cut down, organizations that do not improve both the way they work and their products will ultimately be outcompeted in the market. A collaboration mindset. A culture of collaboration underpinned by communication and transparency across individuals, teams, divisions, and organizations. The complexity of collaboration is one of the fundamental reasons teams in agile organizations are kept small. Order n squared to be precise. 7 plus or minus 2 is the commonly accepted size. Decision making is localized to reduce the lines of communication and the subsequent delays incurred. It should be mentioned that critical to effective collaboration is transparency of information, transparency of decisions, and relationships. This provides a solid grounding for trust and respect between customers, peers, and leaders. There are many tools and practices that you can adopt to improve how your teams collaborate. For example, social contracts, pair programming or pair work outside IT, and visualization tools like Kanban boards and burn down charts or cumulative flow diagrams. The final domain in the mindset dimension is ownership. And this is where teams take pride and accountability for the quality and success of both the output and outcomes of their work. However, being agile means to take pride without arrogance. Ownership means being willing to collaborate with others, to learn from them, to ask them for help to achieve the outcome. An ownership mindset also isn't unidirectional. Individuals and teams need to be given the authority as well as the accountability for an outcome. Organizations that are seeing diminishing returns from their current agile adoption need to start looking at agility as a continuous and systemic evolution of culture, people, and skills, rather than specifically focusing on transforming one or two domains. There are some amazing stories from all around the world out there. I encourage you to look in the Business Agility Library to have a read of some of these. From Haier, a $32 billion Chinese multinational, moving to a flat, self-managed ecosystem. The New Zealand Post Group building a portfolio visualization and Kanban room for their most senior business executives. DBS Bank in Singapore taking customer journey thinking into all aspects of their organization. A Canadian public sector rollout of physical network infrastructure using agile techniques and linked to an over 100 times price performance improvement. Adoption of agile marketing approaches in companies around the world, from Venka in Spain, Movitex in France, Intland in Germany, Vistaprint, CA and Dell in the US, and so on. ExileSoft in Sri Lanka, who's been applying Kanban in their HR teams for years. Barclays in the UK, embedding a culture of agility across every line of business. Livespeed in the US, changing how colleagues are incentivized and rewarded. IBM globally undertaking a radical organization restructure to reduce the management overhead in their corporation. Adoption of pair programming practices by a stock trading company in Singapore. Let's call it pair trading. Taking Agile back into its automotive history with Wikispeed building a car. Target in the US launching an entirely new business in months. Taking Agile into audit teams in Suncor Australia. Agile transformation across multiple physical GE businesses from aviation, healthcare, oil and gas, and global research. There are many companies taking this journey, taking Agile from teams to agility in the executives. BNP Paribas in Belgium, Ableton in Germany. You've got the adoption of adaptive financial practices, including beyond budgeting, in numerous companies around the world. And there are new organization structures and leadership models which are being adopted in governments, like the City of Edmonton changing how teams are formed, or the State of Washington adopting holacracy, as well as, of course, in the private sector, most famously companies like Morningstar and Buurtzorg. I want to welcome all of you to the Pune BAM, or Business Agility Meetup if you prefer. Around you are leaders and learners in the community. Learn from them, share from them, and together we will change the face of business. Thank you.